The wind cuts sideways off the Gulf of Alaska, and the rain has not let up in 6 days. You are 3 miles from the skiff, chest deep in Devil's Club, and somewhere behind you, a brown bear just crossed your scent line. This is not a range day. This is not a paper target. Whatever is chambered in that rifle right now is the only thing standing between you and disaster. In 2026, 7 brand new .308 Winchester rifles stepped into that exact nightmare. Titanium, carbon fiber, a lever gun, and one design that might end a 100-year-old argument. Only one of them earns the crown. Let's find out which one survives Alaska. Sliding into the next spot at number 7, the Henry H14 Long Ranger Big Woods Carbine. This one breaks from the pack immediately. It is the only lever gun on this list, and Henry did not just slap a scope rail on an old design and call it done. Feeds on .308 Winchester through a detachable 4-round box magazine instead of a traditional tube, which matters more than it sounds. Sets you back $1,500, and for that price you get an 18.5-inch blued steel barrel, a 39-inch overall length, and a weight of 6.9 pounds. Compact enough to swing through alders without snagging on every branch in the Tongass. Working the lever on this rifle feels nothing like Grandpa's deer gun. The gear-driven action cycles with a tight, mechanical precision. Less a sloppy clack, and more a confident chunk, like a bank vault door sealing shut. Under the hood is a rotary bolt head with 6 locking lugs, borrowed straight from bolt action engineering. That is the real story here. Traditional lever guns load pointed bullets nose to primer in a tube magazine, which is a recipe for a chain fire disaster under recoil. This detachable box magazine lets Henry safely load Spitzer-tipped .308 ammunition, which means real long-range terminal performance instead of the stubby round nose loads lever guns have been stuck with for a century. Aesthetics-wise, my only gripe is the walnut stock. It looks sharp, and it is built like a tank, but that traditional wood needs real upkeep against the Alaskan rain, unlike the synthetic builds sitting elsewhere on this list. Cosmetic trade-off, not a mission killer. Where this rifle earns its keep is the Skinner peep sight paired with a fiber optic front post. Under dark timber canopy, you will get on target faster with this setup than with most scopes. Now we get serious. At number 6, the Franchi M.U.L.E. Franchi built this one around a single question. What does a rifle look like when it has to survive a bush plane, a bear encounter, and thick brush all in the same afternoon? The answer is the M.U.L.E., short for Momentum Utility Light Elite. Barrel length is trimmed to 16.25 inches. It slings .308 Winchester downrange from a detachable AICS pattern magazine, holding 8 rounds, which is double what most hunting rifles on this list carry. Street price is $1,559. Shoulder this rifle in tight timber and you feel the scout rifle DNA immediately. Quick to swing, nothing snagging, nothing hanging off the end of that barrel. The graphite black Cerakote finish has a flat, almost matte hostility to it, like the rifle already expects to get rained on and does not care. Here is the clever engineering. The rear iron sight flips down to a 3-dot pistol-style sight for close, fast, reflexive shots. Flip it back up, and it becomes a precise peep sight for longer work. 1 rifle, 2 sighting systems, 0 extra hardware. That is a scout rifle concept most manufacturers talk about and never actually execute this cleanly. My only gripe is the wallet hit down the road. That AICS magazine format is excellent, but spare mags are not cheap, and if you lose the one it ships with, you will feel it. Cosmetic to your bank account, not to performance. Backed by a 1 MOA accuracy guarantee at 7.08 pounds, this thing earns its keep as the do-everything rifle in the lineup. The field is thinning at number 5, the Glenfield Model A. Ruger brought back a name that has not seen a new rifle in decades, and they used it to build an absolute wrecking ball of a budget gun. This one feeds on .308 Winchester through a cold hammer forged 20-inch barrel, threaded and ready for a can. You are looking at roughly $529 retail, and street price often lands closer to $400. Here is where the surprise hits you. Shoulder a $500 rifle, and you brace for a mushy trigger and a barrel that wanders all over the paper. That is not what happens here. The polymer stock with the moss green splatter finish grips like sandpaper in wet gloves, and underneath it sits a floating barrel married to a cast in V-block bedding system. The same fundamental concept precision rifle builders use on guns costing 5 times as much. That bedding system is why this rifle consistently prints groups under 1 MOA with standard hunting ammunition, which by any honest measure should not happen at this price point. Look, I have no real complaints here that matter. The finish is a flat, no-frills black. Nothing fancy, no Cerakote, but it holds up fine for a working rifle. If you are chasing a piece of jewelry to hang on the wall, this is not it. It is built for hunters who would rather put that saved money into good glass. 70-degree bolt lift, 6.3 pounds on the scale, adjustable trigger from 3 to 5 pounds. This is the rifle that makes every other budget option on the market look overpriced. Stepping up the game at number 4, the Savage 110 Trail Hunter Lite. Savage took their proven 110 action and stripped it down specifically for backcountry punishment, and at $669 MSRP, with street prices often dipping under $600. This is where genuine performance and genuine affordability finally shake hands. Runs on .308 Winchester through a 20-inch fluted sporter barrel, threaded 5/8 by 24. Weight comes in at 6.9 pounds. Grip this rifle in a downpour, and you understand the design philosophy instantly. The Hogue overmolded stock is not just rubber for comfort, it is rubber for control when your hands are slick with rain, mud, or worse. It grabs back at you, angry mule energy in the way it refuses to slip. Here is the piece most hunters overlook. Savage runs a floating bolt head on this rifle, meaning the bolt face can self-align to the cartridge case on the way into battery. That self-centering action is why this budget rifle consistently punches groups under 1 MOA with premium .308 ammunition. It eliminates the tiny misalignment errors that plague cheaper fixed bolt heads. Pair that with the adjustable AccuTrigger and you have match-grade consistency wearing a hunting rifle's price tag. My only gripe is the stock texture around the forend. It is grippy, which is great, but it picks up cold fast in freezing rain and stays cold. Ergonomic quirk, not a mission killer. Now here's the real question. Would you trust a $600 rifle over a $3,000 rifle standing in front of a brown bear? Drop your honest answer in the comments. I want to hear it. Entering the elite tier at number 3, the Franklin Armory Prevail. Franklin Armory did not just build another bolt action. They walked into a century-old argument and tried to end it. The fight between push feed and controlled round feed has split rifle builders since before your grandfather was born, and the Prevail refuses to pick a side. The damage to your wallet starts around $3,300 for the Sporter stainless option, climbing to $3,900 for the carbon ceramic Fidelis barrel. Built on a Remington 700 footprint, which means the aftermarket world is already wide open for this rifle. Cycle the bolt on this thing and something feels different, even if you cannot immediately place it. That difference has a name: total round control. As the cartridge strips off the magazine, the case rim slides under the extractor claw exactly like a controlled round feed rifle. But a spring-loaded ejector lever also engages, the same way a push feed action works. You get both systems running at once. That means the round stays locked to the bolt face, no matter how violently or awkwardly you work the action. Cycle it upside down, cycle it in a panic, cycle it with numb fingers at 4 in the morning, with something moving in the brush behind you. The cartridge does not fall out. In a moment where a bear is closing distance and your hands are not steady, that is not a marketing gimmick. That is the difference between a second shot and no shot at all. Look, I have no real complaints here. The Conquest trigger adjusts down to a crisp 1.5 pounds. The bolt head swaps tool-free, and the carbon stock rides on a V-block bedding system that locks the action in place. But if you are hunting on a budget, walk away now. This rifle is built for people who buy once and buy right. This one earns its spot at number 3. But wait until you see what is sitting at number 1. It might change how you think about what 4 pounds of rifle can actually do. Closer to the crown at number 2, the Bergara Premier Cima Pro. Bergara did not build this one to be a value option. They built it to make $5,000 precision rifles nervous. Street price is $30.99, and every ounce of that number shows up in the specs. Eats .308 Winchester for breakfast through a 20-inch Cure carbon barrel, and the whole package weighs in at just 5.5 pounds. Remarkable given how much barrel is doing underneath that carbon wrap. Here is what actually separates this rifle from every carbon barrel on the market. Bergara's cold bore technology weaves stainless steel fiber directly into the carbon wrap, which pulls heat away from the bore up to 50 degrees faster than a standard carbon barrel. Why does that matter to you standing on a hillside in Alaska? Heat is what makes a barrel walk, the point of impact drifting as the steel expands with every follow-up shot. A rifle that sheds heat that fast keeps printing to the same point of aim, shot after shot, even when you are working fast on a wounded animal at last light. Working the bolt reveals the two-lug stainless action underneath, fluted in a spiral to shed weight and shrug off snow and grit without binding. The adjustable trigger tech breaks with a clean, glassy snap, less a mechanical click and more the sound of a bank vault tumbler falling into place. My only gripe sits in the accessory shelf, not the rifle itself. That autoclave carbon stock is exceptional, but replacement parts and factory accessories for it run expensive if you ever need one. Financial nitpick, not a mission killer. This rifle is closer to the crown than anything else on this list, but there is one seat left, and it belongs to something 4 pounds lighter. This is where most channels stop. We keep going. The crown belongs to the Weatherby Mark V Backcountry Capra. 4 pounds. Say that number out loud. 4 pounds, empty, in .308 Winchester, a caliber that most manufacturers cannot get below 6.5 pounds without the rifle beating your shoulder into submission. The damage to your wallet is $34.99, and every dollar of that is engineering, not marketing, rolls over like a polished ball bearing when you work the 6-lug bolt, smooth in a way that feels almost unfair for a rifle this light. That 6-lug Mark V action goes back generations in Weatherby's lineup, built on a simple obsession. More locking lugs meant a shorter bolt throw and a stronger, more rigid lockup than the 2- and 3-lug actions everyone else was running. Decades later, that same philosophy is what let engineers shave this rifle down to titanium without turning the action into a liability. Under the hood, that titanium hollow body action is machined down 42% lighter than its steel counterpart, wrapped in a Peak 44 carbon fiber stock that is deliberately cut open in places most manufacturers would leave solid. Every cutout is a calculated ounce removed. The barrel wears a double spiral flute pattern twisted into a DNA helix, which is not just for show. That geometry adds rigidity back into a barrel profile thin enough to nearly disappear in your hands. Here is where the honest caveat comes in. A 4-pound rifle in .308 generates serious recoil, full stop. Weatherby knows it. That is why the AccuBrake ST at the muzzle cuts felt recoil by 53%, and the 3D hex recoil pad behind your shoulder absorbs the rest like a honeycomb crumple zone. Feel the kick without the brake, and it is an angry mule. Feel it with the brake engaged and it drops to a sharp push, not a snap. Look, I have no real complaints here, but if you are on a tight budget, this one will sting hard at the register. It is built for hunters who have already carried a heavy rifle up one too many mountains and decided never again. This is not just the lightest .308 on this list. It may be the lightest bolt-action rifle of its kind ever sold. And that legacy is not nostalgia. It is generations of 6-lug engineering still proving itself, this time on the cliffs of Alaska. 7 brand new .308 Winchester rifles. 7 completely different answers to the same brutal question. What do you carry when the weather turns? The terrain does not forgive mistakes, and something bigger than you might be watching from the tree line. Titanium at 4 pounds. A lever gun that solved its own century-old problem. A $500 rifle that shoots like it costs 5 times more. Alaska does not care about your budget or your brand loyalty. It only cares whether your rifle runs when it matters. Whatever sits in your safe right now, ask yourself if it would survive that hillside in the rain. Watch your 6. I am out.